Hey guys, Evan here from throtl, and as you can see behind me, the collaboration between throtl and Hoonigan, the C6 Z06 that we just finished up, was involved in an accident during testing and clearly is in no shape to be given away to one of you guys. So to make things right, we are not going to be repairing this. We're actually going to be replacing this C6 Z06 with a new C6 Z06, but as you can see, front bumper and headlights damaged, front fender is damaged. I think the hood is going to be okay. It does not look like that got damaged at all. The airbags did deploy. Anderson Composites roof is okay. And then the last thing is we had some damage to our brand new American Racing forged wheels. We have damage here on the outer lip and a little bit of damage here in the rear quarter. So as I mentioned, we're not gonna give this car away. We're actually going to buy a new yellow C6 Z06 in this episode. We're gonna be swapping all of the good components from this car onto the new car. And then we're gonna take anything that was damaged, we're gonna replace it. We're gonna make an amazing, beautiful C6 Z06 for one of you guys. We're also gonna be addressing the LS7 cylinder head issue that I've seen so much in the comment section. So don't worry, we're gonna take this build to the next level. We're gonna make sure that one of you guys gets an amazing, perfectly sound C6 Z06 Corvette, and unfortunately, accidents happen. So I'm very grateful no one was injured. Let's get into today's episode. Here we go. And just like that, believe it or not, here it is. The new throtl X Hoonigan C6 Z06 Corvette. This is also a 2006, but this car only has 10,000 miles. It is literally perfect, just like the other one was. Beautiful car, very familiar, obviously, looks exactly the same. And I will say, I think the interior is even cleaner. It even smells like a new car in here. It doesn't even look like anyone's really sat in these seats. So I've got a very long drive back down to San Diego right now. I've only driven the previous Corvette that we had once or twice, and I'm looking forward to this long drive and just seeing what this thing's all about. So here we go, let's get on the road. Let's get back down to San Diego and we'll start swapping over all of those parts. Let's fire it up, see how she sounds. 10,000 miles. Unreal. Here we go. And just like that, the new C6 Z06 is here in the garage and it is ready for all of the new parts we got to put on it. So I'm very tired. That was a long drive. The Corvette did fantastic. It's actually very comfortable. I was really surprised how comfortable the seats were. Besides it being really dirty, it looks like it made it back in one piece. The guys are coming in tomorrow morning first thing and we're starting all of the part swap. So stay tuned, sit back, relax, and enjoy.
So we're gonna start taking all of our performance parts off of the C6. So the first thing we're gonna be doing is actually taking the American Racing wheels and tires off. We need to get them stripped out and sent up to American Racing. We're gonna dismount the tires, then we'll have our stripped wheels, and then we'll continue pulling things off the car. So let's get started.
Fun fact about Quinn, he used to work at Discount Tire.
I was a tire monkey for a little while. That was my first job in the automotive industry, actually. Tire monkey. Oh. Our two damaged wheels are off and sent to American Racing, so now we're going to start tackling the performance parts on the car. The first step is going to be to get this hood off. The hood appears to be undamaged. This hinge is shifted forward a little bit, so the latch won't release, so we're going to unbolt the hood, take it off, and that'll allow me to start working on our suspension, getting all the BC coils and all that good stuff off. So let's get into this, Will.
Pop the hood. like an inch of material, not even an inch of material. I can't do anything. So take the wheel. Put your foot on the gas. Take the wheel. Take the wheel. My hair blowing in the wind with the top off.
Now I'm going to start moving into removing our Edelbrock Supercharger, all the cooling system components that went on with that. We got a lot of things to take off. Let's get started. Oh yeah. Boom! There you go. Non-supercharged LS7. Evan arrived last night with our new Corvette. We're going to begin by installing all of these new parts we pulled off of the old Vette. Let's get started. So for those of you guys wondering, this is a BC BR Series coilover by BC Racing. I absolutely love them. BC Racing is my personal favorite coilover brand. I run them on pretty much everything I have. We also run them here on a lot of throttle builds, and as you see, they are perfectly fine. So if you guys want to pick up a set of BC coilovers for yourself, head over to throtl.com, get yourself a nice BR Series like this. Perfect street coilover. We're going to tackle the rear suspension. We're going to get the rear shocks off. We're going to get the leaf springs out, put our new coilovers in, and then tackle the brakes.
I'm saying, I guess Ricky's versus Auto Club.
Nah, don't switch up. Don't switch it up now. You're already committed.
All right, so Fontana Raceway, the Auto Club Speedway, whatever you want to call it. I'm saying that if I was in this and Ricky was in his R8, that I would take him.
I don't know, man. I think in a drag race, non-supercharged, I think the R8 might have it. With this thing supercharged in a drag race, it would smoke the R8.
I've never seen you on track.
I did my RX-8 at Fontana.
So I'm almost done with my Miata kart.
Especially with, you want to just take it there, we'll just time trial it?
Yeah, why not?
No.
That's gonna be fun.
So Magnaflow makes some of our best exhaust systems, and they made a one-off for us on this Corvette. And now we are replacing that Billy Boat with our custom exhaust.
Very nice. Our Magnaflow exhaust is fully installed. We're gonna put the hood on, we're gonna put the roof on. Will's gotta do the headlights, we got to do the front lip, and that's what's next, so let's get started. So now we're gonna put our wheels and tires, get this thing on the ground and pull it outside. When we come back tomorrow, then we're gonna start tackling all of our performance stuff. Our Edelbrock Supercharger, our Mitsumoto cooling system, our ACT clutch is gonna be going on. But for now, we're gonna put the wheels on, drive it outside and look at it. We pulled the car outside for some beauties and it looks good, but now we have it back on the rack and we're gonna start tackling some of the performance stuff. We have an ACT clutch kit that is gonna be going back on. We're gonna be installing our Edelbrock Supercharger kit as well, and we're gonna be fixing the cylinder head. So in the comments on this build, we saw a lot of cylinder head complaints and just kind of comments saying the car was a time bomb and all that stuff. So we're actually gonna be addressing that. For those of you who don't know, the LS7s are a little bit different because they're such a big displacement engine. It's one of the biggest Gen 4 LSs you can get by displacement. Because of that, they changed the valve angles in the cylinder head. They also increased the length of the cylinder head port. And because of that, you have longer valves and the valve guides wear out. That is what they're referring to as the valve guide wear. Now, best case scenario, when the valve guide wears completely out, you have a valve that doesn't seat right on the cylinder head, you have a compression leak, and you have a misfire on a cylinder. Pull the heads off, get it fixed, and you're done. Worst case is the valve snaps inside the engine, the piston explodes inside the engine, you have a connecting rod swinging around and it saws the engine block in half and you end up replacing everything underneath the intake manifold. So we have these, which are CHE Precision valve guides. So these are gonna be our fix to the cylinder heads. So I need to get these cylinder heads out, and then as soon as they're at the machine shop, we're gonna start the clutch. We got a lot of work to do, so let's get started. I've got the front bumper, the hood off, and I just finished draining our coolant, so now it's time to pull these cylinder heads out. There we go. One LS7 cylinder head, baby.
How's it look?
Actually pretty good. Not too much buildup. So these are the valves that have the problems with the exhaust valves. Those ones fail the most. Big boy, huh? Look at the ports on the intake, dude. They're freaking massive. Those things are huge. Big valves too, sick. Pushrod engines are really fun to work on because you don't really have to do a whole lot to take everything off. I mean, like, they really compact everything inside the vet. They have everything like crammed up front, but aside from that, it's super freaking easy, you know? When you pull the heads off, you don't have to mess with the timing, and chains, any of that stuff. You don't play with the cam at all. You literally just pull the push rods off and whoop, the cylinder head comes up. We have the cylinder heads off. We got them down at the machine shop. They're working on replacing our valve guides. So I'm gonna start working on the transmission and replacing our clutch with the new ACT clutch we have. We're gonna kind of do it the same way we did it on the other car, which is drop the rear subframe and pull the trans off. It would be fairly easy to pull the engine straight out and do the clutch that way, but dropping the trans gives us a really good chance to clean everything, clean the rear suspension, the subframe, all that good stuff. And Ricky and I also have the technique dialed in for the rear trans install, which is really nice. So I'm gonna start in the center console, get the shifter out, and then we'll be under the car. Clutch is completely out, and we are about to drop the car down and start keying the crank for the Edelbrock Supercharger kit. Now, I wanted to mention some comments on the last clutch video, and that is about the rear main seal. Now, so there's a couple of schools of thought when it comes to rear main seals, and one of them is replace everyone all the time, and I'm not really in that school. I like to inspect everything. If the rear main is perfectly fine, I don't really see a big reason to replace it just because we're in here. I've seen a lot of technicians get into trouble doing that. I actually did a rear main seal on a clutch job. It was on a Ford Focus ST. The rear main had absolutely no problems. We replaced it anyways just because that's what you do, and it leaked and I had to do the whole job over again. The rear main on this seems to be in really good shape actually. So there's not really any liquid oil anywhere. We do have a lot of road grime. Not to mention there's coolant and oil kind of everywhere. Because we ripped the cylinder heads off of this car and fluid just kind of goes everywhere. That's what happens when you do it. So I'm gonna give this a really good clean. We're gonna rip this pilot bearing out of here because that is something you absolutely should replace whenever you do a clutch. We're gonna key the crank and then get our ACT clutch on here. All right, so I got the factory crank pulled out. This is a tool provided by Edelbrock that came with a Supercharger kit. We're gonna install this. So one of these holes is for drilling, the other one is for reaming. So this is actually perfect. This is gonna give us a keyway that's halfway into the crank pulley, halfway into the crankshaft. So I'm gonna install this guy. We're gonna drill it out, install our keyway, and then install the new crank pulley bolt provided with the Edelbrock kit. New keyway is in. That is that little guy right there. So now we're gonna put our new bolt in and back onto the clutch. All right, so our ACT clutch is on. It looks beautiful. Everything's nice. We're gonna start putting the bell housing back on and work to get this transmission back in. Ricky and I wrestled the transmission and subframe back in, so everything's bolted, everything's tight, which is good. So I'm gonna move into getting our rear suspension back together. I need to put the axles in the trans, we need to get our upper control arms on, and I wanna get our brakes back on. We have a set of stainless steel brake lines that we're gonna be installing on this car. From there, we're gonna take the car down, we're gonna bleed the brakes, bleed the clutch, make sure everything's working, take it back up, and then we can start tackling our under trays for the transmission, our transmission cooler lines, and things like the exhaust. Let's keep going. Ricky and I have finished with our brake lines. I knocked out the front, Ricky knocked out the back. Now we're gonna bleed. Brakes are bled, clutch feels good, brakes feel great according to Ricky, which is awesome.
They do feel great.
They do?
Yeah, they're super solid.
So now we gotta wrap up the rear ends. We're gonna put all of our wiring back on. We gotta put our, there's a few things that need to go on. Our transcooler lines need to go on, and we can start putting gear oil in, putting our trans fluid in, and hopefully once we're done, finished doing all of that, our cylinder heads will be back and get picked up so we can start working on the engine. Our rear suspension is completely back together, so I'm gonna add fluids. We're gonna be topping off the transmission fluid and adding gear oil to the diff because we drained it completely to pull the transmission out. We have to install a aftermarket heat exchanger for the oil cooler and some other bits that are not really attached to the cylinder head or the supercharger, so we got a lot of work to do still. right, so I have several components of the Edelbrock Supercharger cooling system installed. We got a reservoir, a water pump, our new oil cooler assembly. Our American Racing wheels and tires just got back, so I'm actually gonna put those on the car to get them up off the floor. And then once they're back on the car, then we're gonna change out the Valley cover, which is this guy. We're gonna change that out for the Edelbrock Supercharger Kit 1 that has a different PCV style vent as well as some clearancing on the back. And then we're gonna go in and start cleaning our block. I wanna get all this old gasket material off. Luckily, this is an aluminum block engine, so it'll be pretty straightforward and pretty easy. And I might come in here and try and clean some of the crap off the pistons too. So I cleaned the decks on our engine block off. Luckily, all it took was acetone and a rag because this aluminum block, it doesn't really stain like a steel one does. So all I did was soak it up with acetone, wipe everything down, and we're good to go. So now I'm gonna clean the pistons. To do that, I'm gonna use a 3M plastic bristle. This is a very soft plastic bristle brush. We're gonna rotate each piston up to TDC, clean the top, acetone it, get all the crap off, and then just go down the line. And then we'll have a nice clean engine block with nice clean pistons. So I've got one cylinder bank finished up. This is the driver's side that has not been touched. And we have the passenger side looking nice and beautiful. Now, if you look, there are still some spots on the pistons. And a lot of that is like really heavy built up carbon. And even though this is a plastic, very soft bristle brush, you don't really want to sit there and dig into the crown and hit one spot too long. So I give it a good once over, clean everything up, clean the cylinder after you're done, and then move on. So I'm gonna clean this side and we'll get these heads back on. Our cylinder heads are back from the machine shop. Let's go through some of the work they did. First of all, they cleaned them up real nice. We had them replace the valve guides. So these are CHE Precision valve guides. This is an upgraded valve guide, and they're a very common fix. If you look up head packages that companies sell, most of them are using CHE Precision guides. So we sent it out to the machine shop. They replaced our valve guides for us, so we're no longer gonna have that issue if it were to be an issue. They did a valve job, they decked the cylinder head, and got everything looking nice. So this head is ready to go back on, the other one's over there. We have a set of Lingenfelter head gaskets, so these are actually just an assembled kit. These are factory GM head gaskets. I got new head bolts over there and manifold studs as well, and a new set of exhaust gaskets. So I'm gonna start putting all these things back in, get our rockers, push rods, and get our blower dropped on this thing, and then the rest of it's just gonna fly together. So let's get into it. Got our cylinder heads installed, rockers, push rods, valve covers, and exhaust manifolds are back on. Everything is great. I got our heads ready for a supercharger. So I got Will over here. We're gonna grab the blower, drop this thing on, and it's just a bunch of cooling components and wiring from there. So let's keep jamming. All right, so our supercharger is fully installed. Fuel system, ignition system, all the cooling system for it is back on. All we have to do is throw the front end back together for the cooling system, connect all of these lines up, fill it up with coolant. I do want to do an oil change. Put the exhaust on and the front clip back on, headlights and bumpers, and we're done. So we're getting pretty close. All right, our cooling system is fully assembled on the car. The only thing it needs is the tune, which I have from Edelbrock. Brother Will and I are gonna move into installing our new headlights. Looking beautiful. Mr. Mickey is wrapping up our new catalytic converters from Magnaflow. As soon as those manifolds are on, we can raise the engine back up, tighten it down, and be able to put our air box on. So we're getting real close.
Let's go! Let's go, baby! Woo! All right! Let's go, baby! The Corvette is back. It sounds super healthy, sounds really good. Bro, looks good job. Let's Jesus. go.
All right, our C6 Z06 is completely finished. This car is incredible. This is a much lower mileage car and it is a much nicer car than the previous one. We got everything on this car loaded up. We got our Edelbrock Supercharger, our ACT clutch, American racing wheels, all the aero. We got BC coilovers, our brakes, everything is done on this car. We also fixed the cylinder head valve guide issue. So whoever gets this car is gonna be able to enjoy it and drive it forever without worrying about the valves dropping out of the cylinder head and damaging the engine. We're gonna send this thing up to this versus that fairly soon, and we're gonna take on some supercars with it and take some names with this car. This thing is wicked and it is fast. Don't forget, guys, this is our sweepstakes car. Every dollar you spend on throtl.com is gonna get you one entry to win this Corvette plus $20,000 in cash. So head on over to throtl.com, pick up some merch, pick up some car parts, whatever you want, whatever you need. Get entered to win this thing. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next one.